You're late on the March installment, Sarah said. With interest, you owe the state 1,200 units by sundown. If you don't settle, we initiate a blind sweep. We'll just take the first 1,200 units we find. Could be your motor skills, could be your mother's face. Your choice. Elias felt a bead of sweat roll down his neck. A blind sweep was a death sentence for the soul. "I'm selling a high-value asset," he whispered. The summer of 19, the pier, the girl in the yellow dress, the taste of salt, and the feeling of absolute certainty. Sarah tapped a few keys. A first true love node, sensory rich. The bank is buying those for the Heritage Collection. It's worth 1,500 units. "Do it," Elias said. "Please visualize the asset," Sarah instructed. "Try to feel the warmth of the sun. The clearer the image, the cleaner the harvest." Elias closed his eyes. He summoned Maya. He saw the way the wind caught her hair. He felt the rough wood of the boardwalk under his feet. He felt the beautiful, terrible ache of being 22 and terrified of how much he loved her. A low hum filled the room. A sensation like a vacuum cleaner pressed against the back of his skull began to pull. The warmth of the sun began to dim. The yellow of her dress faded to gray. Her laugh, which usually echoed in his mind like a song, turned into static. With a sharp pop of neural discharge, it was gone. Elias gasped, his eyes flying open. He felt light, terribly, dangerously light. "Extraction complete," Sarah said. "Have a productive day." Elias stood up, his legs wobbling. He walked out of the bureau and into the smog-choked streets. He reached into his pocket and found a crumpled photograph. It was a picture of him and a girl on a pier. She was wearing a yellow dress. He looked at the photo, and it felt like looking at a stranger's vacation slide. "Who are you?" he whispered. "That's Maya," a rasped voice said. Elias flinched. Standing in the shadows was a man in a tattered trench coat. His eyes were sharp, too sharp for this neighborhood. He didn't look like a blank, the hollowed-out people who had sold too much to survive. "I don't know a Maya." The man leaned in. "Of course you don't. You just sold her for a month's rent. But she didn't sell you, Elias, and now she's in trouble. Meet me at the Static Bar at midnight. Bring what's left of your head." The man vanished. Elias should have gone home. He should have been grateful to be debt-free for another 30 days. But a ghost of a feeling, a phantom limb of an emotion, tugged at him. At midnight, the Static Bar was a den of low-frequency hums and neon blue light. The man in the coat was waiting in a back booth. He introduced himself as Silas, a former technician for the bureau. "You think they delete those memories?" Silas asked, sliding a glass of synthetic whiskey across the table. "You think they just vanish into a hard drive?" "They're archived," Elias said, repeating the slogan, "for the benefit of history." "Lies," Silas spat. "The Heritage Collection isn't a museum, it's a playground. The elite, the ones who own the banks, they don't want to live their own boring lives. They buy yours. They plug your first love into their neural feeds and live it like a movie. They're wearing your soul like a rented suit, Elias. And Maya, she was sold to a senator who liked the way she looked in that yellow dress. He didn't just want the memory, he wanted the source." Elias felt a cold spike of adrenaline. "The source?" Silas whispered. "They call it active harvesting. They keep the person in a coma, wired into a loop. They milk the emotions until the brain fries. Maya is in a Vault 4. She's been there for 3 weeks." Elias looked at the photograph in his hand. He didn't remember the girl, but he remembered the void where she used to be. The empty space in his mind was shaped exactly like her. "How do we get her out?" "We don't," Silas said. "We go to the central server. We don't steal the memories back, we set them free. If we crash the tax grid,
Every memory ever stolen floods back to its original owner at once, a memory storm. It would destroy the city, Elias said. People would be overwhelmed, decades of grief and joy hitting them in a single second. It's better than being a ghost, Silas countered. An hour later, they were at the cooling vents of the Bureau. Using Silas's old bypass codes, they descended into the gut of the machine. The air smelled of ozone and scorched copper. They reached the core, a massive pulsing liquid light. Inside the glass, millions of golden threads flickered. These were the taxes, the stolen birthdays, the forgotten sunsets, the erased faces of dead parents. "Plug me in," Elias said, stepping toward the interface chair. "Elias, if you do this, you're the conduit. The storm passes through you first. You might not survive the surge." "I'm already dead. I just haven't stopped breathing yet." Silas smiled and slammed the sequence into the console. The world exploded. It wasn't a sound. It was a scream of a billion voices. Elias's mind became a hurricane. He wasn't just Elias anymore. He was an old man remembering his wedding in 2040. He was a child tasting rain for the first time. He was a soldier weeping in a trench. He was everyone. And then he saw her. The yellow dress, the pier, the salt. The memory hit him like a physical blow. It wasn't just a picture anymore. He felt the heat of her skin. He heard her whisper his name. "Elias, look at the tide." He felt the weight of the ring he had been hiding in his pocket that day. He roared as the system peaked. The glass of the core shattered. The liquid light poured out like blood, evaporating before it hit the floor. Across the city, thousands of blanks dropped to their knees. In the high-rise penthouses, senators screamed as their rented memories were ripped out of their heads. In the dark of the Bureau, Elias slumped in the chair. His nose was bleeding. His eyes were blown wide. The silence returned, but this time it wasn't the silence of the Bureau. It was the silence of a man who knew exactly who he was. He looked toward the back of the room, where a row of stasis pods sat. One of them hissed open. A woman stumbled out, clutching a thin hospital gown. Her hair was dark gold. She looked around, confused, terrified, her eyes searching the dark. Elias stood up, his bones aching. He didn't have a penny to his name. He was the most wanted man on the planet. He had nothing. "Maya?" he croaked. The woman froze. She looked at him. For a long, terrifying second, her face remained blank. Then her eyes welled with tears. A small, trembling smile broke across her face. "The pier! You were going to ask me something on the pier." Elias walked toward her, the weight of 1,000 memories finally making him feel whole. "I remember," he said. "I remember everything." The tax was over. The debt was paid. And for the first time in a long time, the world was allowed to hurt again.